Greetings, this is Andre Kutash. Welcome to Nova Computers. We at Nova, for the computer courses, use Office 365, so you need your username and password that you're given at registration. It usually takes 24 to 48 hours to activate it, but then you're good to go. And basically, you can log in through office.com on any device that you're going to use for computers. So you can you can log in office.com with your username and password on your phone, on your computer at home, at the computers in class, on a tablet, laptop. It all works. And for the computer courses, you're going to want to use the desktop version, not the version through the internet browser like Google or Safari or the Microsoft Edge. Always open it up in the desktop because all the commands are there. Okay, and all your instructional material and tutorials are all electronically on Teams, so you will have access to that. The way computers work now is it's the individualized learning approach. It's no longer a taught class like in front of everyone. People work at their own pace. So see yourself as the captain of your own ship. And you're going to be responsible for your own learning path. Depending on how quickly you want to do it, that's up to you. That's your progress. So you'll monitor your own progress through the playlist, and just remember where you left off. Every computer course has a credit or two. There's even one course that has 3 credits. So everyone who start on the Microsoft Word processing course, which is in the Nova Computers team. Each computer course has its own designated folder. So that means each computer course has a final assignment, which is your ticket. You basically have to hand that in to me, and if both you and I are happy with your progress and that we feel you're ready for the exam, then I order the exam, and it takes a couple of days to get the exam. But that means, since we have computers on Monday and Thursday afternoons, that means that you will definitely have an exam given on in the next class. So in each computer course, you have like Microsoft Word, you have a playlist, which is a link to tutorials where you learn how to do things, and you also have a final assignment. And in the final assignment folder, you will also have a little mini instruction video, which is myself explaining to a student, this was during the pandemic, how to do the assignment, okay, how to complete the assignment. So this is the Microsoft Word assignment. It's printed, but you don't have to print it. It's just to show. And so for the final assignment, you're going to launch a newspaper. So it's not like the old computer courses where for Word you do a lot of typing, like cover letters, resumes. You don't do that. The tutorial website has you download documents that provides the text, and you just have to, you're in charge. You're like the graphic designer coming up with the look, okay, to the newspaper. So for this assignment, for example, you're going to create a newspaper, and you come up with the title of the newspaper, and you'll have the following sections: opinion, world news, local news, arts, and youth. That's kind of like what you have for the exam. Final exam, the actual exam is you creating the look of a newspaper as well. So 10% of your mark is dedicated to creating a newspaper plan. So the plan, here's an example of a newspaper plan. Okay, and this is also saved in the final assignment folder. Okay, so notice you have the layouts, you have the actual heading, and then down here you can't really see, but in the final assignment folder you'll see it. It's all the specifications for the fonts, like what's the font size for the heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, what's the font size for the regular text, what is the color of the headings and the color of the regular text. And in terms of images, is there a border? How large is the image? You know, that kind of stuff. So you want to have a relatively detailed plan, okay? And that's 10% of your mark. And then you're going to give the newspaper an appealing look appropriate for your audience of readers. So if it's like the general public, it would be like the look of like the Montreal Gazette, which you can see examples online. Or the Journal de Montréal. You're going to create all your formatting using styles because it's heavily weighted in the marking on styles. Yeah, you have to have page numbers, and all that is in the assignment, and you're going to come up with something that looks like this. So you notice that you have Montreal News clearly written, you have contents, which is like the table of contents. You have the name of the newspaper, L'Envolée, and then you have the heading section. And the rest of this text is Lorem Ipsum dummy text, which is a dummy text file that is found in the final assignment. Because graphic designers, you work for a newspaper or magazine. You're not the reporter. You just create the look, and then when the reporter actually writes the article, then you put it into the spot that you designated for it. And so that's it. And then, you create all these different pages. And then for the final exam, you have a certain part where you have real text that is not formatted, and you have to make it look formatted like this. You have to logically say, okay, this should be a bulleted list. That looks like a subheading. I'm going to create a subheading, etc. And this is something that all students are able to look at. This is the evaluation grid that teachers use to correct, the exams. And so if you look at the criteria, I'm not going to go through all the courses, but I'm going to just give you this example course. So if you look at here, it says interacts in the computer environment, and it gives you the percentage. In this case, it's 15%. 10% is, towards are you using resources to help when you need to work something out? Because it's like in the workplace. When you're in the workplace and as a graphic designer, no one's going to tell you, hey, you can't use the internet, you can't call your cousin, So the exams, all the computer exams are open book. So you're allowed to use your class notes, you're allowed to use any tutorial website you want, you're encouraged to. In fact, you're getting marks for it. And 5 marks is for how familiar you are with the software. So for example, to get full marks, it's interaction with the application demonstrates a high level of familiarity. And only 1 mark, interaction with the application demonstrates very little familiarity. So if you've been doing the tutorials, practicing, and doing the assignments, then you're going to get a good mark. If not, well, you're not, right? The next section is worth 85%. The competency is number 2, produces computerized documents, and I'll just break it down. 10% for thorough planning of the work, like I told you. A lot of people, they just get the assignment, they for the exam, they say, okay, this is the data, this is what I got to do. They create the Word document, they save it on the USB stick, they print it out, but they forget to do the plan, and you lose 10%. So just a reminder for that. The other criteria, you get 20% for layout, that the layout of elements on the page, like the images, text, headings, are appropriate and varied. Typographical conventions are always followed. That's like 5%. Topographical conventions are basically, if you're going to make a new paragraph, it has to be, on a new line, that kind of stuff. You're using the right kind of font. It doesn't look strange. The next part is with 30%. So this is about the styles. The final product demonstrates a very high level of proficiency in the use of the tools and functions, especially those relating to styles. So that's 30% of your mark. And that means, because most people when they use Word and they don't know how to use Word, they use it like the old days, where if you want to format a heading, you highlight it and you change the font and you make it bigger, and or you change the color. But in styles, you do that all in one shot on the command line. So that's something that if you don't do it, you lose 30%. So it's a big part. So that's why people who come off of the street and have never learned it, you're not necessarily going to pass, right, this exam. And then the final 20% is the final product takes into account all of the task requirements and quality standards. So all the task requirements are going to be on the exam booklet itself. You're going to see there's certain sections of the newspaper that you have to put in a certain order that I pencil in. And you also have to use certain logos. You also have to use you have to do certain things, right? Certain formatting things, like inserting page numbers and everything. So all that is part of that part. So that's an example of the Word course. And then just to show you, once you do that exam and you pass, you get a credit, and then you can go on to spreadsheets, which is 5069. And basically with that one, the tutorial, you're all learning about how to manage numbers. Now, some people, when they see the spreadsheets, they say, son of a gun, I'm doing computers, not math. Well, but everyone likes money, and you better know how to manage money if you're going to survive on this planet. So spreadsheets is basically all about learning how to manage. It's focused on the money, right? The final exam is it has a budget. You have to create a budget to keep track of your money. So the final exam has a workbook with 2 spreadsheets. The first spreadsheet is where you calculate your income for the month, okay? And the second spreadsheet is your expenses for the month. And hopefully you're not in the red. Hopefully you're not losing money and getting into credit card debt, right? So that's what this assignment is all about. It tells you that. And again, you should have a plan, and you'll create something that looks like this with rows, columns, right? And the evaluation criteria, again, 10% for thorough planning of the work. So making a plan. What does the title look like of the spreadsheet? What's the formatting? What color? What size? Etc. So appropriate formatting in terms of the number format for if you're referring to numbers that are supposed to represent money, you have to use currency format, for example. And if it's dates, it should be using the date format, etc. Formatting choices for titles are important, like I said, and also where you place things, and it should be easy and logical to follow. The next part is about using the necessary functions, like the equal sum, like to do totals, equal average. It should be a lot quicker than, you shouldn't be using a calculator at all, right? The spreadsheet is the calculator, right? So keep that in mind. You also do averages and stuff. You also have to have an absolute reference. You'll learn about that in the tutorials. A reference to the salary worksheet in the budget worksheet, so referring to a certain cell in another spreadsheet that you're going to learn in the tutorials. And then the style of the table is created using the appropriate application functions. And then the last chunk of the mark is that the data that you're using, that you're putting into the expenses, is the data that they give you in your adults booklet. So when you get the exam, you're going to have an adults booklet and a USB stick. Okay, and you save everything on the USB stick. You don't save anything on the computer, right? Then you have to make sure that you name the worksheets properly and the workbook properly, and make sure it's saved properly on the USB stick, the removable disk, and then you need to print out the document. So that's it. I wish you the best of luck. I'm sure you're all going to do well.